Hello, YouTube gamers. It's good to see you again. I'm back with the snipe and snipe support video. I know it's been a few days, but I got lazy. But here I am, finally making the video. But getting right into it, I think there's two clear-cut meta snipers, which is the Gorenko and the 3-line. I'll show you a few different builds for both. I'll show you what I like. I'll show you what a few of my contemporaries use, I guess would be the word to use. A few other streamers that I play with. It's mostly preference. Pretty much any like core build is good, and then a few attachment changes you can make. That's really up to you. In terms of snipe supports, I think it's a little more varied. There's a lot of different options. I'm going to show you some SMGs, some ARs, but there's a lot you can get away with in the snipe support category. And yeah, getting right into it. I think Gorenko is meta, just because, again, even after the nerf, that fire rate is insane. Still has very good bullet velocity. It's really, really strong. If you're good at sniping, you will do well with this gun. Because how many downs you can put out, how fast you can fool people, even just spamming people to the chest more like a DMR is a viable strategy as well. But this is the build I prefer. After the nerfs, a lot of people, including like me, Breadman, have switched to a build where you take off the mag for better ADS speed with discard. And since discard, every time you have 2 or less bullets in the mag triggers, you get that really fast reload speed. So it's really easy to always get your discard trigger, and the ADS is better for it. Same thing, I no longer run bipod because it hurts ADS now. So I'm just trying to maximize my ADS speed by taking off the mag and switching to bayonet. I like 3 to 6. Most people on Gorenko play 3 to 6. WAG likes like the light speed 5x sight. But pretty much everyone I know, Breadman, Biffle, Gooey, prefer the 3 to 6 on this gun. 3-line, a lot more people play default, but Gorenko, most people prefer 3 to 6. Definitely core attachments are like Empress Barrel, discard's very good, on hand's very good. The stock, some people run reinforced. I wasn't reinforced for a bit. When I played a more spammy build, I would run reinforced and stippled. But after the nerfs and it has more visual recoil now, I think you have to play a little bit more like a sniper. You can't spam as hard. So I prefer to go sniper stock, which gets rid of all aim sway essentially. This will literally like make your 3 to 6 because you can't hold your breath on 3 to 6. It will like not move. So I prefer sniper stock. It still gives you some initial, not as much as reinforced. That's really preference. I would try both. I prefer sniper because of having no aim sway, but reinforced does give you more initial and allows you to spam and gives you a little bit ADS speed and some aim walking. So that's really just preference. I would try both, and then I run leather just for more ADS speed. If you're playing max ADS speed, like you want the fastest possible, you would play reinforced, but like I said, I prefer having no aim sway. But yeah, that's the general build that a lot of people run. And then 3-line, which the builds are a little more varied. Sleeper loves this gun. Obviously, I think Gorenko's better just because of fire rate. The fire rate alone makes the Gorenko insane. But 3-line, this build technically has better bullet velocity than the Gorenko, but it has really slow ADS, and I don't like default when I play this gun. This is like Sleeper's build or Bread's build when he played 3-line. I preferred, like I said, I've always been a 3 to 6 guy, so I ran a build like this. I think Iron runs this build, or what I ran before I switched to Gorenko was this, which has no aim sway but worse bullet velocity, but better ADS. So, like I said, this build's kind of obsolete now because obviously I can just play 3-line. I mean, not 3-line, play Gorenko and have better velocity, better fire rate, than a build like this. So if you're looking for max bullet velocity, you could play this. Other than that, I would mostly just stick to Gorenko. But if you are looking to play like a bolt action, I would recommend the 3-line. But moving on, that's the 2 meta snipers in my opinion. And moving on to snipe supports. My meta snipe support for me personally is Arma. I really, really like. This is just a slight variation of my SMG build. I like to run F8 stabilizer. It really, really makes it a beam, gives you some more damage range, and then hard scope. The combination of those two gets rid of all recoil in this gun. I feel like I can beam at like it doesn't kill as fast as an AR obviously, but I feel like I can beam at AR ranges. Like this thing really like does not move. Like you can beam with this gun at like 30, 40 meters, like pretty easily. You're not going to kill them very fast because you're out of damage range, but you will hit your shots. So like I like a stabilizer. It can be worse in buildings than recoil booster, but I just like the versatility with stabilizer and how little recoil it has and the little bit of extra damage range. I run lengthen. You can run lengthen or subsonic. I don't like to run hollow point on my snipe supports as much on my SMGs because it really hurts damage range. On the ARs, I'll show you, I have hollow point on a lot of them, but on the SMGs, even though some of them are better TTK wise, consistency wise, with hollow point, it really hurts your damage range, so I like to maximize my damage range on a snipe support build. So like the Marco and Arma are good with hollow point, but I'm not running them on my snipe support builds because I'm really trying to not destroy my damage range, because I will be fighting mid-range a lot with these guns. But yeah, this is just a slight variation of my SMG build. Again, just like my SMG feels really consistent TTKs, consistent recoil, decent strafe. It's just going to feel good. It might not be an insane melt machine at range just because it's not an AR, but it is going to be consistent. You're going to hit your shots, and it feels good overall. Decent mobility as well. The Marco, which is more of a mobility build, this is not strafe like the Arma. It's really, really mobility heavy, but you're going to be zooming around the map. Again, minimal recoil like the Arma. I think because the way this gun's recoil works with sustained after a little bit, I think it has more, but the beginning of the mag literally has no recoil. But this is just more of a mobility build. Very little recoil. Basically the same damage range. It has a similar TTK to the Arma. They're going to play similarly, similar TTK, similar damage range. This one is just more movement than strafe. So if you're looking for the Arma is a little bit slower on the sprint speed. If you're looking for sprint speed instead of strafe, I recommend trying this Marco. Really beaming like the Arma. It's going to treat you well. It's just another solid, consistent gun. And that's probably my top two. I know Bonk likes the Marco a lot. And moving on to some ARs, since I know some people really like AR in the sniper support category. My number one AR is probably the Nikita. This is kind of like the Marco. It's an AR with sprint speed, not strafe. But this actually has very surprisingly very good movement for an AR. This has basically the same movement as this Arma. This is like 7.97, I think. It might be 8.7. But this is like essentially like 0.2 less. It's essentially the same sprint speed as that Arma, which is surprising for an AR. But it has good like with the skeletal and the folding and this barrel and this mag don't hurt. Like the barrel doesn't hurt movement, the mag doesn't hurt movement, and you have a stock and an underbarrel helping movement. And this should have very little recoil. Actually, very, very competitive DKs. This actually, on my average, on the average I use with headshot and chest shots and stuff, kills faster on the average than the Arma and Marco I showed you. Those are like 650 or 640s. This is like 630s. It's still like everything's relatively close together. When I show you like these guns, always know that the TTK is going to be solid and competitive on these. I don't like recommending guns that have bad TTK because that's just going to get you killed, right? So every gun that I show you will have competitive TTK. Some are slightly better than others, but they're all going to be within a certain like limit that I have. And if I'm showing it to you, it is competitive. It will kill fast. It might not be the fastest in the game, but you're not going to just get like, you're not going to get shit on in a gunfight because I recommended this gun to you. It will be competitive. It will kill fast if you hit your shots. But this is a really, really solid AR build. Has like 30 meters of damage range, even with hollow point, because this barrel gives you 40% damage range. So it has like, I think like 32 meters of damage range. Really, really solid damage range. Solid competitive TTKs. Good mobility for an AR. If you're looking for something a little more mid-rangey that won't have as good of strafe speed as like that Arma, but like is very, very like solid for an AR in terms of movement speed, I definitely recommend trying that Nikita. And this is a strafe AR, kind of like the strafe version of an Arma. Not as good of TTKs. I think it's like it's still competitive. I think it's like in the 650s or 660s. So it's not as fast as like that Arma or that Marco or that Nikita, but it's definitely still very competitive. That's the Volk. This is a strafe build with ready and leather and adjustable. Those are all strafe attachments. Hollow point to get those limb multipliers up. And then I've become a big fan of Perfectionist. I have it on this Nikita as well and on this Volk. It helps with recoil a decent amount. You could, if you want even more strafe, you can run steady here if you want to really maximize your strafe. But I do kind of like Perfectionist, so I think it helps me at the mid-range a bit. But this is just a pretty standard strafe build. The one thing that this gun struggles with, it has good strafe, better strafe than the Arma. There's only one gun that I'm going to show you that has better strafe than this. Actually, two guns because I'm showing you the type as well. But the damage per mag can be a struggle. It's 45 when it shoots at like 800 something, low 800s for RPM. So damage per mag and trios and quads can be a little weird on this gun. It has fast reload speed, but it's kind of like that type 100 that I'm going to show you in a little bit, that you really have to play smarter on your reloads. And if you like don't play smart on your reloads, it will get you killed. But if you do know how to position well and know how to play for your reloads, you should be chilling. It's a really fun strafe AR. Bad movement speed on it. Be aware of that. Like all the other guns I've showed you, the Arma, the Marco, the Nikita, have really solid tac sprint speeds. The AS that I'm about to show you and this Volk do not have good sprint speed. So be aware of that when you're running around with this and a sniper. Next up, I have the Sten, which is the second fastest strafing gun behind the type I'm going to show you. This is very similar to my SMG, but I think it actually is the same besides lengthened instead of subsonic, which that's really preference. You don't really need lengthened. You can run subsonic, but like you can run stabilizer here, but I think for the TTKs and for the fire rate, I do prefer recoil. If you want even less recoil to make this gun a super beam, like no recoil, I recommend switching to stabilizer. And Strife Angle, that will get rid of it because the rapid hurts your horizontal recoil. It says plus, but it actually hurts it. The in-games are just weird sometimes. So if you really want to minimize that recoil, make this a B mid-range, I recommend going Stabilizer Strife Angled. This is the build I ran in the World Season Warzone qualifier. But if you're looking for a bit more strafe and a bit more TTK up close, I recommend running Compact and Recoil Booster. This is just a solid SMG. The recoil is a little weird because it's a left pulling, like I said in my SMG video. So not everyone can beam with this gun, but if you know how to use it correctly, it has great strafe, very competitive TTKs. This gun will serve you well. Again, it has that weird 50 thing with the tac sprint, which some people don't like. And if you're in Souls and Duos, I recommend playing that 36 because it's going to kill even faster. This thing kills with the 36, kills extremely fast. It's just the damage per mag is really bad. So Trios and Quads 50, Souls and Duos recommend the 36. Basically the same as my SMG. It's just still a solid sniper support because it has great strafe, decent mobility, really competitive DKs. And next, this is a build I recommended to Sleeper that he really likes. He's maining it now. Is ES44. The one thing that I don't like about this gun is the mobility. Just like that Volk, I think it has the worst mobility on this list. So, like, I think the only thing worse than this was the CX9 maybe that I was glancing at. I don't have it up right now. I could show you CX9 build, but, like, the CX9 has competitive TTKs, but it has terrible mobility and, like, weird iron sights. I just don't love the gun. It's definitely a fun gun, but I don't love it for sniper support just because, like, it has really bad damage per mag and weird iron sights. So that's why I don't have it here. It is a solid SMG, though. But the AS44 is going to be very beamy, competitive TTKs, but I prefer the Nikita because of mobility. This has really bad mobility, like really bad, because that 615 stock hurts it and that 12B stock hurts it. It's going to have like no recoil and feel like a beam because it's a high fire rate AR, but I prefer the Nikita. It's just another mention that I have that is a solid option in terms of TTK. It's just the movement is bad, so I don't love it. But again, if you're looking for a solid like BB mid-range option that has very little recoil and is going to kill fast at mid-range, I can think this again has like probably like 25 to 30 meters of damage range. That you get the AS44 there. And then my last two are the Cooper and the Type. I'll talk about the Type in a second and why I have it as honorable mention rather than as sniper support. But the Cooper, again, I prefer the Nikita because of mobility. This has a bit of strafe, not as much as the Volk, but a decent amount because they're removed with the leather and they're ready. Gives you some strafe speed. It's going to be, again, like the AS, very little recoil, very beamy mid-range. They're a little weaker in buildings. I think the AS and the Cooper are just a little bit slower, TTK-wise, than stuff like the Arma and the Marco and the Sten in buildings. But they will have better mid-range, and they're still competitive. They're not bad. They're just not as good. It's still very, very solid, very little recoil. Running compressed to try to get that TTK up a bit. And it's a solid option. Just, again, mobility, I think, really hurts these. Specifically, the AS and the Cooper, I don't love the mobility on. The Volk it has bad mobility, but since it's a strafe build, it doesn't matter as much. If you're looking for an AR with really good mobility, I do recommend that Nikita. That's my favorite AR because of that mobility. If you're looking for strafe, Volk, mobility, Nikita. The other two are more honorable mentions. They don't have a ton of strafe. Like AS has no strafe and bad mobility, and the Cooper has a little bit of strafe and bad mobility. So I don't love them, but if you're just looking for other options that are also beamy mid-range and have high fire rates and will feel good in game, I do recommend that to try that Cooper and that AS44. Then my last gun, which I think I would really only run in solos and Souls and Duos, and maybe only on Fortune's Keep. I don't love this gun as snipe support because I think it doesn't have great recoil, so it's and low damage per mag. So trying to beam someone at 25 meters with this gun is really annoying because you're going to be out of damage range. You're going to be having more recoil than like the Arma and the Marco, and you're going to have low damage per mag. So like multiple times when I tried using this thing as sniper support, I just run out of ammo in the range and have to reload or try to switch to my sniper and like body shot them, which can be annoying. That's why I prefer this as a pure SMG because I think it plays better with the recoil and the damage per mag. But if you are looking for like the best 1v1 gun in the game, amazing TTK, amazing strafe, and you're like in solos on like Rebirth or Fortune's Keep or just solos in general, you can definitely make this work in solos, but I think even in duos, I wouldn't run it as sniper support. So solos and like Fortune's Keep and stuff, if you're looking for the like I said, the best 1v1 gun in the game, this will win you basically every 1v1 you're in if you're good. Definitely recommend that type. But yeah, that's about it. Like I said, this is my preferred Gorenko build. I think it plays really well. If you're good, you're going to do well with it. And then this is the main one I've been running. I'm going to test some more stuff throughout probably the week as I do more streams. But this is right now my meta for sniper support is this Arma and that Gorenko. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you all for watching. I might do a Fortune's Keep video just because the meta is a little bit different there in terms of AR. And I might do an updated AR meta because I've been testing as I've gone. I've watched some other creators like JGod and True Game Data's video and have some more stuff that I like. I might do an updated one. I might do a Fortune's Key video. We'll see. But yeah, that's my meta for snipers and sniper support. And thank you for watching. And I'll see you all soon, I guess. All right. Goodbye.